Hi, I'm Jack Davis, and welcome to another episode of The Zone. Joining me this week, my good friend, former Arizona kicker, Jake Smith.
Yes, sir.
And great beard. Very well trimmed today. So, Jake, it's rivalry week in college football. My Duke Blue Devils got killed by North Carolina last night, unfortunately. But this week we're talking UCLA-USC, the classic LA rivalry. UCLA coming in at 8-2, USC at 7-3. For the first time in almost, it seems like a decade, these teams could be evenly matched. You're new to LA, just moved here. How do you feel like the local pulse is about the rivalry, and who do you think comes out victorious?
Honestly, I couldn't, just being in LA, couldn't really tell you that it's rivalry week if I were not a sports fan. I think that it's an interesting dynamic here in LA with UCLA, USC. I think it should be more important. I was expecting it to be a little bigger than it actually is. But I'm personally, as a college football fan, I'm very excited for this game. I think that UCLA comes out on top for a couple of reasons. I think their defense is going to step up. They play big in big games under Mora, and Brett Hundley always plays well against SC because they're the one school that didn't offer him a scholarship. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you can understate that chip on his shoulder because of that.
So real quick, before we get back into UCLA, USC, you went to Arizona. You played in Arizona, Arizona State. Without getting too much in detail about those teams, what's the difference like in rivalry week? Do you really feel it much more at Arizona?
I think in the entire state of Arizona cares. Mm-hmm. Everyone in the state has some tie to one school or
whether
the other.
You're in school or not.
Correct. Whether you're a kid or a senior citizen, everyone cares. And it's really special to be a part of that rivalry. And I don't get that same feeling here in LA, even though the schools are separated by, 10 miles?
Yeah, because it feels like it's separated by a whole different world. Like being from LA, I'm from Los Angeles. I grew up 5 minutes from UCLA, but I don't care. The locals don't have an invested stake in college football here.
And I think it's really unfortunate because I think there's something special about those rivalries that you don't really find in pro sports. And you have specific ties to specific schools for certain reasons. It doesn't feel like I'd expect Duke, UNC, which you were a part of, or I know it doesn't feel like Arizona, Arizona State at all. So I'm excited for the game because
but it's still going to be a good game.
Absolutely.
So a lot of storylines in play. What do you think stands out to you most? Is it the battle of the quarterbacks, Hundley and Kessler, Josh Shaw being reinstated, and the Pac-12 South title is really on the line here?
Well, I think that it's awesome that the two teams are so much they're both in the hunt. They're both right at the top of the Pac-12 South. And the Pac-12 South is, I think, the best division of football. Yes, I think it's better than the SEC West. I'm trying not to be biased, but I do think it's better. I think Hundley is a huge storyline. I think the Heisman expectations coming into the year have not been met, but I think this does a lot for him personally and obviously for UCLA as a whole. I think Nelson Aguilar going for his third straight 200-yard game, that's a huge storyline against UCLA's defense. I think there's a ton of stuff to watch in this game. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think UCLA pulls it out.
UCLA has won 2 in a row. Before that, the series was dominated by SC. I kind of feel like this is the first time these teams really it could go either way. Kessler and Hundley, I feel like, are both very talented quarterbacks with flaws. You see Sarkisian implementing his program at USC. But the truth is, and let me ask you this, it matters to the fans of UCLA and USC, but are either of these teams a great team, or are these just two above-average teams competing who are ultimately going to end up in a similar bowl?
These teams both have great talent. I don't necessarily think they're great teams. I think that UCLA has a couple legitimate pro prospects. USC has a lot more. I think it's going to be interesting how Josh Shaw's return affects the team. Their defense has been playing very well lately, and throwing him, as talented as he is, into the mix may mess with chemistry. People may not be happy with playing time, things like that. But I think what's going to be the best matchup to watch, which no one really is going to watch, is the trenches. I think USC's D-line versus a struggling UCLA offensive line is the key to the game. And if UCLA's offensive line can hold up against Leonard Williams and company, I think UCLA is going to have a good shot.
So you like UCLA. What do you think the score is?
I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a 4 or 5 point game, and I don't think it's going to be super high scoring. So I'll go 24-21 UCLA.
I actually like USC. I think this is USC's year to kind of flip the script. I think UCLA is, like you said, they have a lot of talent, but I actually think USC is the more well-rounded team. I think Josh Shaw gives them the boost. I like Trojans, 31-21, Trojans. Now, we just talked about Cody Kessler and Brent Hundley, two great quarterbacks, two young quarterbacks, college quarterbacks. So they don't really have that defined facial hair that adults like me and Jake have. And it's funny because an interesting study that just came out, thanks to our friends over at Deadspin and Bro Bible, said that NFL quarterbacks actually play better with facial hair. Now, they studied quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and Jay Cutler and found out that on average, a quarterback's QB rating is 10 points higher when they have facial hair than when they don't. That is, Andrew Luck is 10% better when he's got that disgusting beard than when he's cleanly shaven. So Jake, as someone who grooms his facial hair very carefully, who played football, is this a real thing or just a coincidence?
I mean, it would be hard for me to say that it's a real thing. I don't think facial hair really affects play on the field. But hey, a study's a study, and if they can show that it's 10 points higher.
You're not more willing to lead a guy with that nice Movember porn stash than you are a guy who's just like a baby face?
I mean, honestly, I'll say that I think
that doesn't inspire confidence. That's just a guy, and then he's got the porn stash, and he's a superstar.
I think there really is something to be said about how you look and the confidence that you carry yourself with. So if you look at yourself and you look at your quarterback and say, you know what, that's a man's man, he's going to lead me into battle. Sure, you know what? Whatever helps. I do think that that stash is pretty amazing. I think Andrew Luck should not have facial hair. I don't think he should be allowed to do it.
He looks sad with his beard there.
That's just not a good look. Like, he looks like the caveman from the Geico commercials, just with shorter hair. Like, it's not really a good look.
His quarterback rating is 8 points higher when he has facial hair than when he doesn't. But do you think? Let me ask you this, because you played sports and obviously I did not. Do you think that it does matter how a quarterback looks and carries himself versus
Absolutely.
just talent? So can you give me examples of, like, without naming names, like this guy had this poise and he was a good-looking guy and he was confident in himself and it made a difference in the team?
I mean, if you look at the quarterbacks in the league, the majority of them are good-looking guys. And I don't think
why is that?
Because you have to carry yourself a certain way. You have to inspire confidence. You have to have that confidence on the field and off. There are certain positions that, big is sexy when you're an O-lineman, and that's fine. They have that big man swag, and that's a thing. Mm-hmm. But as a quarterback, you have to have the same confidence on the field that you have off. It's not a switch that you can just flip. So I do think there's something to be said about how you look and how you carry yourself with performance on the field.
I'm going to flip that. I think the facial hair does matter. I think it does make a difference because, dude, we both have beards. We're sitting here with beards. It's a feeling, right? It's kind of like a manly thing. Like, I'm not shaving.
I mean, look, I don't think I've seen bare skin on my face since I was 19.
And when I have bare skin on my face, I look like I'm 15.
Exactly.
So
it is about how you look. So you're right. I'll give you this one. You're definitely right. It does matter.
Brady with a beard, Brady without a beard. Who are you picking?
Giselle.
Okay, not really an option there. But
beard.
When it comes to quarterbacks, we love Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Super Bowl winners. But Oakland Raiders quarterback Derek Carr and his entire team didn't inspire confidence, beard or no beard yesterday. The Raiders, as always, have had an abysmal season. Coming into last night's Thursday game with Kansas City, they were 0-10. They haven't been 500 in almost a decade. And let's just take a look at these clips from last night's game, just showing how even the possibility of one win makes them embarrass themselves just to epic proportions. So here we have this first GIF. We love our GIFs of Oakland against Kansas City last night. A sack to close the game. Amazing. We love it. What is this celebration, Jake? Because not only is it a celebration, he runs 30 yards down the field. As we see in the next clip, it almost cost him the game. Penalty on the next play.
Well, the thing is, you need to understand the situation. Yes, it's a huge sack, but it's on third down. You know it's four down territory. You know it's the end of the game. You have to be thinking football. And to run 15, 20 yards behind the play, yeah, it's a huge play. Happy for you. But you really can't go do that. You can't do that. You can't put your team in danger.
And I think this is even worse. Derek Carr, the quarterback for the Raiders, he's a rookie, fresh from Fresno State. If we can get the clip of him last night after he throws the touchdown pass that put the Raiders ahead. He puts the Raiders ahead. Okay, nice throw, wide open in the end zone. Look at this celebration. He looks like it's the happiest day of his life. They're 0-10.
You know what? I actually kind of like the celebration. I like that he cares.
Look at how happy Derek Carr looks. You're 0-10, bro.
But it shows me that he actually cares. They haven't won a game, but it's his first NFL win. He leads a come from behind drive.
Don't you want to see the act like you've been there before?
He hasn't been there before. He hasn't won an NFL game yet. He brings
good.
his team from behind. He's a rookie quarterback in the NFL. He gets his first NFL win. He cares. That's important. That's important as a player. You know what? If our quarterback cares this much, we all have to care this much.
Okay, can we get the sack clip back again? Is that possible? Because this sack clip is unbelievable. So you're talking about you want to see that he cares. You've been on the field. You know, you've had teammates. When a teammate makes a gaffe like the Raiders made on defense last night, where he runs 30 yards. Look at this. Look at this. It's okay. Good sack. Whatever. Nice play. Look at him just sprint. He sprints almost the whole length of the field. As a teammate, how would you feel about that? Where's he going?
I honestly have no idea where he's going. And they did this whole choreographed, like, elaborate handshake thing afterwards. And it's just like, come on, bro. You need to understand the situation. You need to understand that the game is not over until the clock hits 0. As we've seen in college and the NFL this year, the game literally is not over. There's a second on the clock. Hail Marys galore this year. You need to understand the situation. And that's why you have a veteran like Justin Tuck that calls a timeout right before the ball snap, and he's like, we have timeouts, we need to use them. They're lucky to have that veteran presence on the field.
At any level of your athletic career, when have you seen, be on your team or another team, a celebration cost a team? Any examples of that? Because this almost cost the Raiders their only win.
Absolutely. You have Oregon, Arizona this year. You have who was it, Armstead, the D lineman that runs 50 yards to the middle of the field, takes a bow at the middle of the field, gets a celebration penalty, and gets a play called back. They end up not scoring. That could have cost them the game. You know, they lost by a touchdown. It could have cost them the game. So there's times, I mean, Syracuse, for example, the year after I left, they had Kansas State, they played in Pinstripe Bowl. The guy had a celebration penalty that called back a touchdown. Like, it's unbelievable to me that these guys put their teams at risk to celebrate. Go celebrate with your teammates on the sideline.
That sack was one of the funniest celebrations I've ever seen. You know it's also a hurry-up situation, right? Because it's like Kansas City's got no timeouts. They're going to get back to the line. The refs are going to be spotting the ball quickly. He ran 30 yards back, and then after running 30 yards back, they sit there and dap each other up.
That's the whole issue. You need to understand the situation. You need to understand where you are. If that was on 4th down, there was a change of possession, that was to actually win the game, cool. Go celebrate. Doesn't matter what you do.
Do you think that's a sign of a poorly coached team? Because they don't have a coach letting them know the situation and keeping them in line?
I think it's a very immature team. I can't tell you if they're poorly coached. I think they have very immature players. It's been a very immature environment there for years with the whole coaching turnover and things like that. There's no stability. They don't have the guys that really think football. They have guys that either run a 4.340 that are out of the league after 3 years or whatever it is that they waste a 7th overall pick for. So that's the type of guy that you're going to find on the Raiders right now. And until that changes,
I still think that the Derek Carr celebration was worse. I mean, I know I know he helped them win the game versus almost costing them. But for my quarterback, I want to see poise and leadership. I want to see a fist pump and then nothing else.
But that poise and leadership was shown on that game-winning drive, come from behind drive for his first win.
You can use logic. I'm going to use emotion in my arguments. Moving on to a new subject, a little darker subject, but in sports, you know, you have these, a lot of athletes coming to a lot of money really quickly, and some of them don't come from backgrounds of financial stability. And usually we hear about an athlete's friends taking advantage of him or a poor financial advisor, but in certain cases, it can actually be an athlete's family that leads him down financial astray. 2 stories came out this week of athletes in different sports not traditionally thought of for financial troubles, being abused by their families. Philadelphia Phillies first baseman Ryan Howard, very, very wealthy guy, $200 million contract, is actually in litigation with his brother and mother over them taking his assets and using money improperly. And hockey forward Jack Johnson had to file for personal bankruptcy after his mother, who he signed over power of attorney to, spent his entire fortune on houses, cars, travel, etc. Jake, we always hear about football and basketball players kind of losing their financial fortunes to, like I said, financial advisors, stuff like that. Hockey and baseball, you don't really think about these sports that way. Have you seen situations like this? What does it say when a guy's family takes advantage of his monetary situation?
I think this is something that people don't think about because the stories don't come out, but in reality, you got to think who really is in charge of their money. These guys have agents, have financial advisors, have this and have that, and a lot of them don't even see their own money because the people that they trust aren't the right people to look after them. So when you hear stories about family and people are suing their parents and things like that, it's sad more than anything. But you look and you're like, how can these people take advantage of loved ones? And it's crazy that money can really corrupt these people, but they don't know any better, and it's really sad unless they have the right people in their corner.
Have you ever seen, the buds of these types of situations before? Because, obviously you were with, high-profile college athletes. You work with pro athletes now, where you actually have to advise a player against his family?
Well, I mean, in my experience, I've never seen it work out well when family is in charge of money. I think you want to get as far away from family as you can when it comes to finances, investments, things like that, because it's not just your immediate family, they have people pulling them in different directions, just like you do, because they're like, oh, well, if I can get in with your brother, your mom, your dad, whatever, then I can leech off of you, even if you may not know the person. So they're going to sell them on these crazy ideas, oh, these crazy investments and this and that. And in reality, keep your money away from your family. Don't have your family leech off of you. Yes, support your family, things like that, help them out, but don't go overboard. Be smart with your money, and it's your money.
Do you think stories like these, because these are getting a lot of publicity, would be cautionary tales? Because also, keep in mind, like I said, we don't think about this with hockey, because hockey players make way less money than other sports, but also you don't think of this with hockey. And in baseball, you certainly don't think about this, because baseball, these guys have guaranteed contracts. It's kind of a sport with seems to be less, the players, even though they may be as flashy off the field, there's less flash on the field, so they don't associate that type of lifestyle with them. Do you think this will send a message throughout, all of sports? Because I mean, these two stories coming out in the same week.
Well, I think it should. I hope it does. Hockey players are known to be the most down-to-earth of the professional athletes. In my experience, that's only been true. Hockey players are the nicest, most down-to-earth guys, tough as nails. Respect the hell out of hockey players.
Sounds like you're describing me. Go ahead.
Something like it. I really hope that other athletes are taking notice to this. The documentary Broke that ESPN did, which was phenomenal. And I hope guys don't just turn into another statistic. But that's the issue. The issue is you have put bad people around them that pull them in different directions, pull money. And Ryan Howard, hopefully he gets this straightened out and he gets his performance back to the level that it was before all of this happened, because this happened when this happened, that's when his production really started to slide. He tore his Achilles tendon, things like that, and he's like, you know what, I probably don't want to worry about it. But then it came out that that's what he was worrying about. And, these guys need to have the right people around them that they trust, that actually know what they're doing, not just our family members.
If you are counseling an athlete, let's say real life, and an athlete comes to you with this type of problem, how do you possibly tell someone to say no to their family and ignore their family requests?
I think it has to be a real conversation. You can't just say yes because they're family. These people have guys that crawl out of the woodworks, third cousins and this and that, and those people are a lot easier to say no to because they're like, I've never met you before, I don't even know if you're family, yada, yada, yada. But when it's your immediate family, it's tough. But that's when I think you need to take your money and give it to a financial advisor that you're going to pay to do the right thing. And obviously you need to vet these financial advisors, because half the problem is picking a poor financial advisor puts you into bad investments and things like that. But you'd be like, you know what, go ask my financial advisor. If they say yes, I'm fine with it. If they say no, sorry. But this is what I'm doing with my money so that I can be set long-term.
Pick the right person to hold your money, and have all requests that involve an investment or money go through that person.
As soon as it goes through you and you say yes to one person, you have to say yes to 100.
Wow. Well, sad story. Hope the best for Ryan Howard and Jack Johnson. And now we move to our favorite segment, the call-out of the week. So much dumb stuff is happening in sports. It's not just the Raiders. It's not just Ryan Howard and Jack Johnson's family. Ridiculous things happening. Jake, what is the thing that you have to call out this week?
So we've talked about tanking. We've talked about the Sixers. We've talked about the Lakers. We've talked about the worst teams in basketball, the worst teams in a lot of sports. I'm going to call out KJ McDaniels' mom. She called out the Sixers for tanking, says that everybody's sick of it, mad at it, all that kind of stuff. What she needs to understand...
Can we read this tweet? Can you read it for me?
So the tweet basically, she was responding to Michael Levin, I guess is a reporter in Philly. She goes, "Hi, I'm KJ McDaniels' mom. Yes, they are tanking. The season's fucking over. My son, and yes, I and KJ fans are livid." First off...
Not great grammar.
Awful. It was tough to read. I'm sorry. But what she needs to understand is that KJ going to the Sixers, structuring his deal, which I think was intelligent the way he did, allows him the ability to negotiate after 1 year. And what that means for him is, because he's on the Sixers that are tanking and she's mad about it, he's getting minutes that he would not necessarily get on any other team in the league, and he's actually showing up and playing really well. He's padding his stats, so he's going to have leverage when it comes to next season, and he's building his value because he's on such a terrible team. If she actually understood the process, she'd be ecstatic that the Sixers are doing what they're doing, giving KJ minutes as a rookie that he wouldn't get on any other team. But she's not apparently smart enough to understand that in reality, everything that the Sixers are doing are helping her and her son and his family, which is her, in the long run. So I'm going to call you out for just not being smart enough to see the long play and just going off the short run.
Can we pull up that tweet one more time real quick? I want to read it again. Look at that. Hi, I'm KJ McDaniels' mom. Yes, they are tanking the season fucking over my son, and yes, I and KJ fans are livid. I don't know what's funnier, the poor grammar, or that her Twitter name is KJ's mom, Sean. All caps on the mom.
Look, first off, KJ is a great basketball player. As a Sixers fan, I'm excited he's on the team. I thought it was a great draft
tough week for
pick.
moms in sports. Losing money and, cursing and sounding stupid on Twitter.
I mean, honestly, if you go to Twitter to air your grievances, that's your first mistake.
That's your first mistake.
That's never gonna end well.
KJ McDaniels, your call out of the week. And my call out of the week, for the second time in 3 weeks, is Jose Canseco. 2 weeks ago on this show, Jose Canseco, well, not on the show, but Jose Canseco announced 2 weeks ago that he had accidentally shot his finger off while cleaning his gun. Then on the show, I said I think that Jose was either A, lying and didn't shoot his finger off, or B, shot his finger off purposely for attention. I think I actually might have been right on both accounts. Jose was in a poker tournament last week, tweets that his finger fell off while he was playing poker. I don't know how that's possible. And is now selling his finger and the gun he shot his finger off with on eBay. But all of a sudden, the finger hasn't been found on eBay. He pulled it off. So, Jose, what are you doing, bro? I get it. You wrote your book. You fell off. You don't play baseball anymore. You're purposely shooting off your finger and then pulling it off during poker tournaments and selling on eBay. Go home, man. Go home. Take some of that money and go to therapy. You're done. No one wants to hear about you. And it really upsets me, Jake, because he gets like the 9th story on ESPN or like the 11th line on Yahoo Sports. I'm the only person who should be talking about Jose Canseco. I want this to be Jose Canseco's biggest platform. He sucks. He's shooting off his own finger for press attention.
He is, and then it didn't actually fall off. He just tweeted that, oh, my finger fell off in a poker tournament, and then it comes out, oh, my finger's still attached. Like, come on, bro, do better.
And I'm really annoyed, and this will make you happy, Jose, you fucking bastard, that his girlfriend's kind of hot. It's like 50-year-old steroided out, shooting his finger off Jose Canseco can get better girls than me.
Honestly, I'm not sure if she's in the Michael Phelps girlfriend-boyfriend role. I don't know if you guys have heard about that.
That's a whole nother topic, man. Not enough time today.
Probably should have been my call out of the week. But, I mean, I hope for Jose's sake that that's not the case.
Well, Jose, you're my call out of the week. Stop being such an attention whore. Don't shoot off any more fingers. Just get out of the press. I'm tired of Jose Canseco. He's gone. He's done. I hope he sells his soul on eBay because that's the only thing I think that I'd love to get off the market. But Jake, thank you for coming on the show.
Of course.
As always, great facial hair, great time, great discussion. And everyone, thank you for watching another episode of The Zone. You can find full episodes of The Zone on thelip.tv and go to thelip.tv to see all of The Lip's amazing programs. Follow The Lip on Twitter, @TheLipTV, on Facebook, facebook.com/TheLipTV, and subscribe to The Lip TV's YouTube channel. The Lip TV, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitter, follow on Facebook, and go to the website.